I'm Anthony. I've been playing poker for a living since 2019. Hit that intro.
Don't soul roll me if you get quad fours, man.
You folded king, king, jack, jack? You owe me $350. Your money should be in there too.
Did you bluff me?
Would I ever bluff?
I'm leaving out there. I'm on
No,
tilt.
it's on tilt. Thank you, sir. I would not lie to you, sir. I told you I had a full house. Doing the Lord's work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
It's very early on Tuesday, June 6, 2023, and I'm at Austin Airport waiting for my flight to Las Vegas to play my first ever World Series of Poker. I've chosen to fly American Airlines. Why, you ask? Why?
I'm here with a message to all you liberal commie punks. The US of A is the greatest nation of all time. We're number one in infant obesity, teen pregnancy, feline leukemia. There's nothing we don't do better than the rest of the world.
I'll be staying at the Mirage on the Strip for the majority of this trip. For those not aware, the Seminole tribe who operate all of the Hard Rock casinos have purchased the Mirage and intend to put a guitar-shaped hotel there at some point in the future. So enjoy this footage of the Mirage, as things may be changing in the near future. I wound up selecting a volcano view room, but be aware when it does run in the evening, it can be pretty loud, and you will hear it from your room. My wife Jen stayed home during my 8-day journey to care for our 3 cats. However, she is a member of the cult of the mouthless demon kitty. Yes, she's a huge fan of all things Hello Kitty. So my task upon arrival was to make my way to the Fashion Show Mall to pick her up some goodies to bring back. There's a free tram that connects the Mirage to Treasure Island. From there, you just walk through the casino to the opposite end. They have a CVS attached to the property. You exit outside, take the bridge that crosses over the road, and you're at the mall, meaning you limit your exposure to the high temperatures and beating sun. While Jen was jealous she didn't come to see all of this in person, she was very pleased I found her a bunch of stuff to bring back. Based on advice from friends, the best times to buy your entry into an event were between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., before the lines got too crazy. Despite my mostly sedentary lifestyle, I managed to hoof it over to Paris and buy my ticket early so I'd have time to head back to the Mirage to rest up, then have some lunch before the 2 p.m. start time in the $1,500 Badugi tournament. For those who aren't familiar with Badugi, it's a game where you are dealt 4 whole cards. The objects is try to make the lowest hand possible, containing all 4 different suits, the nuts being Ace 2 3 4 Rainbow. You get 3 draws to accomplish this, and it's played with fixed limit betting rather than pot limit or no limit. Because there are multiple draws, this game is played 6-handed. And here we are, the calm before the storm. It's almost 9 a.m. in the morning here on the West Coast. Nice and quiet, but it will be filled with players very soon. And here, Black 91 Seat 6, as we'll be starting our World Series in the $1,500 Badugi. And over there is the King's Lounge. Maybe we can make ourselves a featured table. All right, here we are, 2023 World Series of Poker. The masses are out in force. We are on our way to our Badugi table. With my ticket punched, I was ready to play my first ever World Series of Poker event.
Badugi. This is a single re-entry. Registration and re-entry is possible until the start of level 10, approximately 8:45. This tournament is governed by WSOP rules. A copy of these rules can be obtained at WSOP.com. Due for the 2023 WSOP for all events. All seats sold before the official start of the event will be in play at the start of that event. You may use your electronic devices at the table if you are not in the hand. If you have a hand, you cannot use your electronic devices except for playing at WSOP.com. Use of GTO or other poker solvers while you have cards is strictly prohibited and may lead to disqualification and trespassing from all Caesars properties. All right, dealers, once again, the 3 and 5 in the well button in the 6-seat. Blinds are 100, 200, limits of 200, 400. Shuffle up and deal, please.
The $1,500 Badugi tournament started off really well for me. I was making 8 high Badugis after my first draw often in the early rounds, allowing me to chip up nicely. At my table, 3 of my opponents were competent. One was a little too loose, calling raises and drawing 2 cards far too frequently across multiple streets. And then there was the crazy Asian. Every table needs one. He was on my immediate left, sitting in seat 1 on the other side of the dealer. Here's a hand I played with him to show you the level of craziness I was dealing with. Blinds are 200, 400. Betting limits are 400, 800. I'm under the gun and look down at Ace-2-5 Queen Rainbow, meaning I've been dealt a Pat Badugi, although it can be hard for a Queen Badugi to hold up against a lot of pressure, as most players are drawing very live against it. I start off with a raise to 800, and my aggressive opponent 3-bets me to 1200. Everyone folds, and I just call and draw 1, throwing away the queen to draw to a cleaner Badugi, figuring my opponent might already have a pat hand that I could outdraw. To my surprise, my opponent takes 2 on the first draw, definitely not what I was expecting. I pick up the 9 of clubs, which doesn't help as I already have the deuce of clubs. However, I'm drawing cleaner than my opponent, so I bet 400. And once again, he raises me to 800, so I just call and throw away the 9 to draw again. Once again, my goofy opponent draws 2. What the fuck is going on? On the second draw, I pick up the 7 of hearts, a low card, but it doesn't help make me a 4-card Badugi. This time, I check call my opponent's bet of 800 and draw 1. My opponent now stands pat on the final draw, meaning he's saying he already has a Badugi and doesn't need to draw any additional cards. One technique some players will attempt in draw games like Badugi is to snow their opponents. This means they'll stand pat without a made hand, in the hopes their opponents will miss and won't be able to call a bet. Given my opponent was drawing 2 on the first 2 draws, and now is suddenly standing pat, and has been playing hyper-aggressive and strange, when I pick up the King of Diamonds on the final draw and miss making a 4-card Badugi, I still check call when he bets 800. And Badugi, if neither player has a 4-card Badugi, you then go to the best 3-card unsuited hand to determine the winner. Given I have Ace-2-5, a very strong 3-card hand, if my opponent was snowing me, I will likely have the winning hand. However, to my chagrin, my opponent does have a Badugi, but it's certainly not one I expected to run into. He turns over Queen 9-8-7. If you know anything about this game, at best on the first draw he had an 8-7 that he was drawing to, a relatively rough draw, and certainly not one to be 3-betting a tight opponent with. Unfortunately, this player would continue to play aggressive and take strange lines, but somehow come out smelling like roses against everyone, building himself a big chip stack.
Alright, after first break, we're just a little bit under starting stack of 25,000. We, right before the break, were dealt a Pat 9 and got run down by an 8.
Unfortunately, I would only last about 4 hours into this event, as my made hands got run down, or my strong 3 cards would fail to make full Badugis, and my opponent's drawing 2 would somehow get bailed out. I was disappointed in the result, but I had an 8-max PLO tournament to play the next day, so I headed back to the hotel to rest up. Unfortunately, all the energy I had on the first 2 days to walk around completely disappeared as I woke up on the 3rd day with a sore throat. Yes, it had only taken a couple of days for the filthy, unwashed degenerates to infect me with the WSOP influenza. This meant I was going to miss the 8-max PLO event, but that was okay. I'd rest up and I still had either Friday or Saturday to enter the $300 buy-in, $3 million guaranteed Gladiators of Poker. Sure to be a massive shit show, but you'd be in the money on day one, so I expected to find my first ever WSOP cash fairly easily in this one. Well, Friday came, and now along with the sore throat, I had to blow my nose a bunch. Okay, we'll rest up and hope for the best Saturday. Nope. Saturday came, and I was now coughing up a storm to go with the runny nose. Fantastic. Now 3 days of my trip were completely wasted, and I was going to have to hope to get better soon and swap in some events. Fortunately, I did feel better Sunday. I managed to head over to the MGM Grand to play a deuce to 7 triple draw lowball tournament. This game is somewhat similar to Badugi in the sense that you get 3 draws to try and make a low hand. However, straights and flushes are considered high hands in this game, so the nuts is deuce 3, 4, 5, 7, as long as it isn't all the same suit. My table was unfortunately mostly competent players. In a few hours into the event, I would be involved in a hand where one opponent was pat after the first draw. Myself and another player were trying to chase him down. On my final draw, I held 2, 3, 5, 7, so I had a clean draw to make the wheel, the stone cold nuts if I could spike a 4. And while I didn't hit my miracle 4, I did pick up the 6 of clubs, giving me what's known as a number 3, the third best possible hand in this game. When my opponent, who was standing pat, bet 1,000, I raised to 2,000. Now the third player cold called my raise, and the player who was standing pat re-raised to 3,000. Well, shit, that's not great news. I don't feel like I can raise again here, but I also don't think I can fold a number 3 given the pot size. So I called, as did the third player, and we both got to see the bad news. My opponent turned over a number 1. That one hurt, and eventually I had to make my stand after being dealt deuce 6, 7, 8, 9. I decided to just throw away the 9, but I think I should have been drawing 2 to try and make the 7 here, as if I did make an 8, it was going to be a very rough 8. Anyway, here's the footage.
Alright, we're down to our last 2,000. It's 6 and 1,200. And deuce to 7 triple draw, that's us. Alright.
Just tell them what card you're drawing to.
Alright, I got 3 callers. Maybe I could triple up. Oh, probably not, no.
Did you do I'm so glad I forget. I almost raised. I was like, oh, he's calling. I can't beat him anyway, so.
Fortunately for me, a rare game of PLO had started up in the MGM poker room, so I hopped over into that and managed to buy in for the max of 500 and spin it up to almost 1,000 before I ended my session, allowing me to at least recoup the buy-in from the deuce to 7 tournament. The next day I hit up Paris to play some cash games, running into vlog watcher Decider99, who I unfortunately failed to get footage with, but I did manage to get a seat in his PLO cash game for a short while before I was called to play the Big O cash game. Unfortunately, my time in the streets of the WSOP cash games was not as lucrative as I had hoped. In Big O, I had an overpair of aces, the nut flush draw, a gut shot to Broadway, and a backdoor low. I got it in 3 ways, including against an aggressive Asian. These guys are everywhere. And he had flopped top pair of kings and had a weaker flush draw. He only runs 1 time, and lo and behold, he rivered a 3 to make 2 pair and triple up. Then, while I was away to use the restroom, upon my return, I learned he had lost it all to someone else and promptly left. And unfortunately, the table did not get any better, so I had to book a loss of 686 in this cash game session. Also, if you do play the cash games at the WSOP, be aware they keep the room very cold. Here's some footage of the table signs flying around because of the AC. Alright, you see these signs blowing around here in the cash room? That's how you can tell how high the AC is here. They keep it very frigid.
You can hang me.
The next day, Monday, would see me switching hotels from the Mirage to end my last few days in Vegas at the MGM Grand. Here we are at the MGM Grand. Oh no. We got the roof. Well, not the greatest, not the worst of views. Get to see a little Excalibur action there. At 6 p.m. that evening, they were hosting a 4-card Pot Limit Omaha High-Low tournament, which blew the 10,000 guarantee out of the water with 200 entries. My table had a mix of competent and clueless players, including one player who stacked off on a flop with a low possible, with just top pair of sevens and a jack-high flush draw. Some players thought he might have not realized it was a high-low event, and maybe he thought it was just high only, but I like to believe he knew and still stuck those chips in. Either way, this event would be the one I'd last the longest in, with 25 players making the money. Here's a collection of hands I was able to capture. Apologies as I forgot to pack my pocket jack phone holder to capture footage, but I did my best just holding the phone.
Get saved. Yeah, there you go. Saved on the river.
Alright, we're all in again.
That again was a shame. I was really looking forward to that one. We got the 5.
I get quartered? Yeah. Alright, we're under the gun. The blinds are about to go up. We only have 9,000 left. We're shoving.
Good luck, all in.
Good luck, me. Alright, triple up time. We got 2 callers. They still have chips. 3 callers. What? Oh, you're into... Oh, shit. Quadruple up time. Alright, help me, Poker Jesus. Help me.
Help me, God.
They know not what they do. Alright, here we go. My fate. Alright, one of them bet 15.
You bet.
You bet.
This is the best case scenario for you. Yeah, I don't know why he bets this.
All right.
You better have like...
I got top set, baby.
Wow.
I gotta fade a lot of outs. Don't do it to me. Pair the board.
Oh my God,
keep it safe. No, he's got a flush. And the low. He wins.
That's a
I'm out.
nice hand. That's a nice hand.
Unfortunately, I would bust in 42nd place, just 17 spots from the money, my deepest run during this entire trip. So a few things I forgot to mention earlier. In the $1,500 Badugi tournament, there were 3 hands where my opponent stood pat on the final draw. I whiffed on my final draw, but I still called with a good 3-card holding just in case they were trying to snow me. Not one time did anyone try to snow. They always had it when they were standing pat. In addition, there was a hand where I raised with a 3-card deuce 4-7. I got 3-bet with another player 4-betting, and I just threw it away, as pretty much no one was 4-betting, and with 2 players having raised me, a lot of the cards I was going to need were likely already out. Then in the deuce to 7 tournament at MGM, I had an opportunity to snow that worked out well for me. I started with deuce 3-3-7. I raised and threw away the deuce and a tray. I picked up a 7 and an ace. When my opponent bet into me, I had already seen half the deuces, half the trays, and half the 7s, all key cards in this game, and I knew it was going to be tough for him to be all that strong here, so I raised with the intention of standing pat and continuing to fire all future streets, but he folded and I got it through. While it wasn't a great trip financially for me, it was a great trip spiritually. I saw a ton of my old friends from Tampa, as well as new friends from Austin. I also had time to get together with friends to hang out. I didn't get any footage or photos of this one, but I did meet up with a viewer of my vlog, Philip, aka 300-Pound Canary, who treated me to breakfast at Hash House A Go-Go. I also ran into fellow Pot Limit Omaha vlogger Joey Pigtails and managed to get a clip to share with everyone. Alright, Spoken Jesus here with your boy. This is Joey Pigtails. He also vlogs PLO out in Orange City out in Florida, so kind of my almost stomping grounds here. So we're out here at the 2023 World Series Poker. Been hanging out, man, so please check him out. Like, subscribe, follow. He's a good guy.
Appreciate it, man.
Then I met up at Cafe Americano at Paris with Joey Pigtails, as well as Joey Gargiulo, a friend I met playing the quarterly PLO tournament over at the Lodge in Austin. We both wound up final tabling that event together, where I busted in 6 and he got heads up and finished second. Joey is no misreg. He's always smiling at the tables and just brings such a positive energy to those around him. He's also been through a lot, having gone blind early in life and needing 3 cornea transplants to restore his sight, which is likely to be lost again in the future. But for now, he's tearing up the tournament scene, having scored almost 200,000 in cashes in a very short time, according to Hendon Mob. I'm sure his coaching from Chance Cornuth, who took 5th place in the $250,000 high roller event at this year's WSOP, has been instrumental, and you should expect expect to be seeing a lot more of Joey on the scene.
You know, after watching a video like this, sometimes I'll like it, sometimes I'll leave a comment, and sometimes I'll subscribe. Sometimes I'll even do all three.